Okay, so speaking of DC and speaking of all of that good stuff, there was a article um, that was put out by Variety, and we could possibly down the road have a crossover. Now you go, what? Huh? Yeah. This now, mind you, this isn't going to happen overnight, okay? And it's going to take some time, but there is a possibility that somewhere down the road we may have a Marvel DC crossover. So this comes from Variety, and this was James Gunn said it would be quote many years away, but all talks have been light and fun. Well, will the Marvel Cinematic Universe and DC Universe ever have a crossover now? Now that Marvel's Guardians of the Galaxy trilogy director James Gunn is in charge of Marvel Studios, I'm certain that that's more likely than now that I'm in charge. Gunn recently played Empire. Who knows? That's many years away, though. He added. I think we have to establish what we're doing here at DC first. I would be lying to you to say that we haven't discussed it, but all discussions have been very, very light and fun. Gunn is starting the process of the press rounds in support of Guardians of the Galaxy 3, which marks his final directorial debut for Marvel. He also has one other DC movie under his belt, and that was the 2021 Suicide Squad. But Gunn is now leading DC Studios with Peter Safran and has crafted a new DC universe that will kick off with 2025's Superman Legacy, which Gunn is writing and directing. It's not like Superman is exactly going to have the same vibe as a Guardians movie, Gunn recently told Rolling Stone magazine. It's actually quite different. Gunn has been quite open about Marvel Studios president Kevin Feige supporting his transition to leading DC Studios. As co-head of the studio, Gunn is planning a new DC universe that is to be told across movies, television shows, and video games. The first slate of Gunn's new DC universe includes Superman Legacy, Superman, Supergirl, World of Tomorrow, and The Bold and the Brave, the latter of which is a Batman and Robin movie. I think there is such a thing as superhero fatigue, Gunn told Rolling Stone. I think that it doesn't have anything to do with superheroes. It has to do with the kind of stories that get to be told. And if you lose your eye on the ball with which character, we all love Superman, we all love Batman, we all love Iron Man, because these are incredible characters that we have in our hearts. And if it becomes just a bunch of nonsense on the screen, it gets really boring. I get fatigued by most spectacle films, by the grind of not having an emotionally grounded story, Gunn added. It doesn't have to have anything to do with whether they're superhero movies or not. If you don't have a story at the base of it, just watching things bash each other, no matter how clever these bashing moments are, no matter how clever the designs are or the visual effects, it just gets fatiguing. And I think that's very, very real. So let's talk about this because there's some big, big stuff. Um, so, Alex, I think crossover is possible down the road if the current downward trend of comic book box office movies return continues. I think have to be desperate. Yeah, I mean, I think there is such a. I mean, Gunn is right about one thing, Alex, and that is there is superhero fatigue. Um, so that being said, um, I don't know, but we wouldn't have to really worry about that right now. He asks, "Can I ask you what is your favorite comic book superhero?" Um, I always read a lot of the Spider-Man comic books growing up, like Spectacular Spider-Man, Amazing Spider-Man. You know, I would probably, believe it or not, I would probably say Spider-Man. Um, I always liked him. I think that his iteration is always it was really good, and that's what made these last couple of films really good, like the John Watts movies, because we all know how what Spider-Man was, how he became Spider-Man, right? We all know that his uncle died, and we all know that Aunt May was really his caregiver. But they never said that. They never told that. And that was really, we saw Peter grow up before our eyes type of thing. And it was for the Sam Raimi ones, it was really good. It was really good. Um, and as it's gotten, so it's just gotten better and better. And Gunn is right about one more thing, and that's the story. I'm a big proponent about story. You have to have a great story in order to tell these, because nobody just wants to see, as Gunn put it, these things just bash each other, you know. Um, so I think, yeah, I think once you have the story down, everything else is icing. This, however, this could be very, very fun. Um, I think, believe it or not, I think the earliest you would probably see something like this, 2030, 2031. I mean, I think once the phases, I guarantee you one thing: you're going to see Easter eggs in Superman Legacy from Marvel. Mark my words. Because here's the thing: if they're talking about doing this down the road, they want to set it up now. And the fact that Kevin Feige and James Gunn are very good friends, you know that they're talking. You know that there are ideas swirling around. And with James writing this first project, you know that he's going to be like, okay, Kevin, I'm going to do a couple things, and then we'll play off. And I'm like, okay. So don't be shocked. Don't be shocked in a couple years, guys, when you're watching Superman Legacy, if you see, some little Marvel Easter egg, because that will be there. I remember watching Man of Steel in the theaters for the very first time. And of course, the couple of Easter eggs I saw were the LexCorp satellite, and there was a truck that had something. I think it was something else. And I said, okay, those are Easter eggs. They're planning on something down the line. Don't be shocked, guys. Don't be shocked. I would, to your point though, I would, for one, I would love to see. Yeah, I would too. I really, really would, because I think that the thing is that just the thought of it, right? Like, take the biggest, baddest superhero on DC against the biggest and baddest super. Can you imagine Iron Man going up against Superman? I mean, that would be, that's every, excuse the phrase, that's every nerd's dream. Okay, every superhero comic, that's everybody's dream, because it's one of those, But no, I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'd love to see it, and you have two guys behind the helm that could do it. I think that would be amazing. Anyways, guys, what do you think? Do you think we're ever going to get a crossover between Marvel and DC? Who are your favorite superheroes? If so, if so, if we are going to get a crossover, what is your dream matchup? What is your DC matchup, and who are you picking for Marvel? Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section.